How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific 3 Eastern, Sunday 3 Pacific 6 Eastern, Saturday mornings with Jim Bally, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, Sundays with Andrew Zarian. And it is Thursday here on the show. You know what that means? We got a lot to talk about. Yesterday was AEW Dynamite, and a lot happened on the show. I thought the show was largely excellent, although I did have a couple of qualms. Maybe qualm is the wrong word, but we'll give you the big stories coming out of the show later on here today. We got lineups for the Collision and Rampage show, as well as SmackDown on Friday. And, of course, all of the news. Roadblock ratings from the NXT show on Wednesday. Mike Tyson. I still can't believe. We don't talk about a lot of MMA and that sort of thing, but Mike Tyson is going to fight Jake Paul in July. Mike Tyson is going to fight Jake Paul in July. He's 58 years old. It's 2024. So we'll tell you about that, as well as more on Sting's retirement. Kevin Nash, of course, said that he was asked about attending Sting's final match. WWE told him no. That's what Kevin Nash said. And meanwhile, Lex Luger asked WWE, and they said yes. They had a couple of requirements, but he was there, as we talked about a couple of days ago. We'll talk about business for that show, as well as AEW Big Business, which is coming up here in a week, and a bunch of other news as well. We will open with the Daniel Rodimer story, another horrible story involving pro wrestling, and he has turned himself in, wanted for murder. He, of course, a former Tough Enough contestant and had worked some matches for WWE. So a lot to get into after the break. Observer Live.
We've almost reached the pinnacle of the tour, but this is one of the most important things. This is the computer. This is the workstation where I do the majority of the actual physical part of putting Figure 4 together. I do the writing here, the editing here, of course the phone calls, even the microphone here when we used to do Wrestling Observer Live, which has since died. And in fact, I better put the screensaver on here so this doesn't get burned in the screen. But putting the newsletter together, people understand, is it's a lot of hard work and dedication, like 2 to 3 hours per week sometimes I have to spend on it. And, hold on a second. Figure 4, who's this? Carl Thorillo? Yeah. Yeah, hey, listen, can I call you back? I'm doing something here right now. My fridge? Yes, running. Hello? Anyway, this is, like I said, computer. Got the TV here. This is pretty much the place. This is going to be a quick tour of the trophy room. This is actually my trophy case. It's made of mahogany, very expensive. But what is worth far more than the case itself is what is inside, and that is the medals from the various sports and the accomplishments that I've achieved during my lifetime. This first drawer here is my gymnastics medal. Here, I got state and such. These are my Taekwondo medals. These down here, amateur wrestling medals. And down here are the 26 medals that I won in the 5-kilometer walk down to the Bothell Landing over the course of the past 5 years. And, you know, I realize that I'm a 4-sports superstar right here, and some people, you know, it might bother them that they haven't had such achievements in their life, but I think that the whole point is that you can achieve anything. You know, if you can make a great pie, you can win the pie eating contest at the Puyallup Fair, and I don't know, hell, if you can eat a good pie, you might win the pie eating contest as well. So there's achievement in this life for everybody.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Daniel Rodimer has turned himself in to the Clark County Detention Center in Nevada after a warrant was issued for his arrest earlier on Wednesday. Daniel Rodimer, Tough Enough Season 4 contestant, later wrestled under the name Dan Rodman on house shows and several episodes of Heat. Warrant issued in relation to the homicide of a 47-year-old Christopher Tapp at Resorts World Las Vegas, October 29, 2023. Tapp's cause of death, blunt force trauma to the head. The Vegas police released a statement saying a suspicious death was now being investigated as a homicide. Update, suspect identified. Through the course of the investigation, homicide detectives were able to identify 45-year-old Daniel Rodimer as the suspect in this case. On November 22, 2023, Las Vegas Homicide was made aware of a suspicious death occurred October 29, 2023, Las Vegas Boulevard. Medical personnel responded to a call for service regarding a male, later identified as 47-year-old Christopher Tapp, suffering from injuries as a result of a purported accident. Tapp was transported to the hospital, was later pronounced deceased. Through the course of the suspicious death investigation, homicide detectives learned Tapp was in an altercation inside a room at a resort before being transported to the hospital. Clark County Coroner's Office has ruled Tapp's death a homicide. And, of course, they say anybody with any information, etc., etc. So the thing with this story is this all happened at a party. And there were multiple witnesses, and the witnesses, I mean, they were texting each other about what happened. The police ended up with the text messages, and it was made very clear that according to the witnesses, there was an issue, and Rodimer stormed into the room and brutally beat Tapp. So, this appears to be a lot of evidence here, but of course, we'll see what happens. Rodimer wrestled with WWE 2004 to 2007, following Season 4 of Tough Enough. One point, there were plans for him to be involved with Edge and Randy Orton as a member of Rated RKO. Stephanie was very high on him. He was 6'7" and 300, blonde, and I thought, man, this guy is a can't miss. And, in fact, he did miss. And then he ran for political office. And we talked about it. Well, Dave did on the show. I never actually saw the commercials, but
they were goofy.
This was an example of a total worker trying to work people as he ran for office. Fake Southern accent, which he never had before.
Carpet-bagged his accent. That was something else.
So, yeah, that's the update. Another horrible pro wrestling story.
Well,
as if we haven't had enough of those.
An update to that update, which is he's walking around because
he did post bail.
Yeah, he turned himself into the Las Vegas Metro Police and then posted the $200,000 or whatever percentage he needed to post of that bond to get out. So there you go.
So that's the story, and when we hear more, we'll let you know. But walking the streets right now, walking the streets. All right, well, we got a lot to talk about here today, and a lot of it involves AEW.
It's amazing what happens when you have money, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
You can hit that bail that a lot of other people wouldn't.
Well, actually, the bail wasn't even that high. I forget what the number was, but it was like $20,000 or something like that.
Well, that's it.
It wasn't like $1 million. No,
$200,000 bond. If you had to post 10%, there you go. So it's wild.
Well, I would say that Dynamite had some real highs. I would not say it had any real lows. There was nothing that I would say would be really low. But there were a couple of things. And I may as well get it out of the way first. Hey, if you want to turn the show up, do it. But it's a broken record. Dude, we need to sell some tickets. It's so glaring when you look at how successful Sunday's pay-per-view was. Dude, that pay-per-view did so well. They sold so many pay-per-views. They sold so many tickets. Everybody is raving about the show. It was like way, way up here. And then we got Collision tonight. which is like at 1,400 tickets. 1,400 tickets.
I don't know at that level. Yes, it would help if you announce matches for sure, but my God, 1,400 is a surprise. That is exceptionally low to me. Just, I don't know. That stands out like a sore thumb.
Well, it does, but I mean, they have not been doing for television. Their numbers are not good.
No,
it's like their pay-per-views do great, and then there's the next day. And yes, I know next week is doing well, okay, but it's at I think a little over 6,000. And fact of the matter is, they've been promoting it forever, and there's really only two options. Number one, Mercedes doesn't mean all that much. She obviously means something for her debut in Boston, but it's not like, you're doing 16,000 or anything close. So either she doesn't mean all that much, or people haven't gotten the hint with the BO $TON. It's one or the other, okay? And the thing yesterday that I just could not understand is, why couldn't you advertise that you signed Okada and he was going to debut on the show? I know the angle, okay? I watched the angle. I liked the angle, okay? But you could have done the exact same angle if you would have advertised that Okada was debuting on the show. And in fact, the angle probably would have been a little bit better, because if you had the Young Bucks beating up Eddie Kingston and everybody knew that Okada was debuting on the show and they started chanting for Okada, first off, the pop would have been bigger when the coin dropped. And then it would have been more surprising probably when he ended, like they could have done the exact same angle. And if you would have announced a week or two in advance that Okada was going to be on the show, you'd have done way more than 3,000 tickets for the show. You probably would have done a better rating for the show. I can't think of any conceivable reason why the Okada debut had to be a surprise. And honestly, at this point, with 6,000, almost 7,000 tickets out, whatever the exact number is for big business, I don't have any idea why you haven't just told people Mercedes is coming next week. Because Mercedes did an interview, and I think even she thinks that they should be announcing she's going to be there, because she, in the interview, basically said, I've been working on some big business. Like, I don't know, man. Well, if it works, it works. CM Punk thing worked. It worked brilliantly. 16,000, 17,000, whatever they... But, a week or two before, announce it. Sell some tickets. And I don't want to hear that I'm the bad guy. I don't want to hear this. I've been hearing this from multiple people there. Why aren't we advertising stuff? Why aren't we selling tickets to these shows? Collision is today. They had 0 matches for Collision until yesterday. 0. Yesterday, when we did this show, they had 0 matches announced for a show they wanted to sell tickets to on Thursday. I don't care if you think it's a broken record. I don't care if you want to turn the show off. Like, something's going on here. Clearly, they're doing fine on pay-per-view, partially because they're announcing cards far in advance. Look at the lineup for this pay-per-view. It's not official, but this April pay-per-view, we got Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay. We got Okada and Eddie Kingston. Like, dude, they're going to sell a ton of tickets, and they're going to do a ton of buys. You could do that for television. I don't know why they don't. I don't have an answer to this question. But it's frustrating to me because there's 1,400 tickets for a Collision show today. 1,400. The wrestlers deserve better. The fans want to know so they can go to the show. I don't get it. Back in a moment. Observer Live.
That was a very special night for me. And I've listened to Cody about it. It's not his top match, he says, but man, it's mine. You know what I mean? It's very special in my heart. And to do that at 50, right, it's a great achievement for somebody like me, man. It really is, to be in my shape still, in good shape, to be able to go out there with the young kids and pull things off. It's so amazing. When I was so nervous when Cody's music hit and he broke the throne with a sledgehammer and all that, I'm just waiting for my entrance, right? And this new upstart company, AEW, I didn't know how the fans would respond to me, whether they would boo me or whether they would, cheer me or whatever. So I'm so nervous and I'm so laser focused on what I'm doing, but it was like, God, my butterflies in my stomach were crazy. My music hit and they responded in kind, and I was like, okay, it's not so bad. And I'm always like that. As soon as I go through the tunnel, it goes away, right? And then I'm laser focused on what I need to do, man. And it's like, it was good to feel that reaction from a new fan base that had watched me my whole career, but they're different than WWE fans. To go down there and, I've explained this before, and let's see if you can understand it. I step in the ring, right, and they start chanting Dusty's name, right, which really just, oh man, chills on your body. You're in the moment. You're so laser focused, and you hear that for a moment, because I point to the sky. I point up, and they started to chant Dusty, and then all of a sudden, the sound and everybody in the arena has become blurry to me, right? I can hear them, but I can't hear them. I can see them, but I can't. I'm so focused on Cody and what we need to do right now to get it to where it is. Because for years and years, I was told, no, it wasn't good enough to be on WrestleMania or whatever. So we had a thing to prove here, and I was focused about it. And we probably could have done a couple things wrong in that match, and it still wouldn't have mattered. It was so good. The story was built in, one promo apiece. They were ready for it. All the stars aligned. The magic happens, and we struck lightning. And it was really cool to do. And I think that match will go down in history as one of the greatest matches of all time. There's some great matches out there, but I think it really it holds water. I think it's going to be talked about for 10 years from now, 15, 20 years from now.
Just read.
And responded.
I did. I went in there. What am I doing? Why do I bother?
Because you feel strongly about it, boss.
That's the key. That's the key when people get mad at me. That makes me even more mad. It's like, I love AEW. You realize that?
Oh,
I'm the guy that people used to say was paid by Tony Khan.
I know.
And there's nothing worse than me. Remember those? It used to be like a meme. I forget. I don't know what it was, but it was like, everything is fine.
Oh, yes, with the dog and the fire in the background and whatnot.
I'm sick of hearing everything is fine. Everything isn't fine. And if I dare talk about how it's not fine, I get blowback. I want it to be better, okay? I want it to be better. It happened to me personally, too. Like, the last time they ran Seattle, it was the same thing. It was, should I even go to Collision? I don't know anything about this show. It was like, what am I doing?
Look, I know.
And you know why? Also, it's frustrating. Okay,
Go ahead. I'll sit back.
So listen, they had a period with a bunch of injuries. Okay, bunch of people hurt, bunch of people out. Okay, there's nothing you can do about that. Okay, there's just nothing you can do about that. But like, I see 1,400 for Collision, and my blood boils because this is not a situation where there's nothing that can be done about that. Okay, and there's people in the company. Everybody has great ideas. Everybody has great ideas, and the great ideas aren't being done, okay? We still don't have, at the very least, okay, we don't know the lineup for Collision, but you know what? Who's going to be on the show. We'll tell you 2 weeks in advance. These people will be there. I don't know what matches are going to be, fine, but these are the people that will be there, okay? Here's a big dark match you're going to see that you can only see if you go live. Hasn't happened. I mean, there's so much stuff that could make this all better. And it's just, we keep doing the same thing. Like a year ago, 2 years ago, said this on the chat. If I told you 2 years ago, in March of 2024, the greatest wrestler in the world, who, by the way, isn't right now, it's Will Ospreay, but still, at the time, the greatest wrestler on earth, Okada, is going to leave New Japan. He's going to debut in AEW. But he's going to debut unadvertised on a Dynamite that draws 3,000 fans. You'd have said, dude, get out of here. Like, why do you have to be so negative? That's what you would have said a year ago, 2 years ago. Well, now it's happening, and people are like, is that bad? 3,000? Well, yeah, same market, same show. Dynamite, in the same, 5,000 last time, over 5,000. They're down 2,000. Advertise Okada. Advertise stuff. That's
a lot of.
Why am I a bad guy? I don't get it. I don't get it.
I will just say I'm not in their sales and marketing department, but a lot of things what we talk about when it comes to them is sales and marketing and advertising. And why are they not as big as WWE right now? Why do their guys? They don't have stars.
They don't even need to be as big as WWE.
Yes,
they need to be as big as
they
were.
But hear me
They
out.
should be doing 5,000 for Dynamite.
No, yes, they should be. And what they also should be doing is you have 3 debuts all coming in close proximity to each other with 2 arguably of the best wrestlers in the world. And I'm not insulting Mercedes Moné into this, because certainly as far as fans go here and as far as name value goes, Mercedes Verando, or whatever her real name is, the Mandalorian fans will know that, but everybody else will know Sasha Banks and all that. Why are these 3, when wrestling is hot right now, with WWE being hot, which means wrestling is hot to the mainstream, with Mania season taking place, with the fact that these 3 people are coming in, why are you not getting these people onto more mainstream shows? Because that will not hurt. You can have as many great matches in the world with as many great wrestlers as you want, but if the product's not hot, you have to get it hot, and you have to get people invested into believing that these people they're going to see are stars. And unfortunately, they don't have that credibility right now because they don't have a flashlight on them wherever they go, being treated like a lot of the WWE talent is. And I'm not saying do everything the exact same way, but if ESPN is being dominated by WWE right now, can you use CBS Sports Network or your NFL or do something? Why have, again,
well,
Ospreay,
listen,
Okada, Moné, they should be advertised in a more mainstream way. Because
yeah, but you know what? You're not wrong, but, okay, let's say that they get these people over in the mainstream exactly as you said. How does that help if I don't know if they're going to be on the show?
Well,
everyone's talking about what a stacked. Everyone is
together.
talking about what a stacked episode of Dynamite it was last night, which is true. It was a great show. It was full of stars. The roster is incredible. I can go through this report. They didn't advertise Swerve. They didn't advertise Samoa Joe. They didn't advertise Taven and Bennett and Adam Cole and Wardlow. They didn't advertise Hook. They didn't advertise Brian Cage. They didn't advertise the best friends, Kill Switch, Daddy Magic, Kyle O'Reilly. They did announce Riho and Statlander. Didn't announce Switchblade. Didn't announce Darby. Didn't announce Mark Briscoe. Didn't announce House of Black. Like, it doesn't matter if these people are over. If you're in the area, you didn't know any of this stacked roster was going to be on the show. So what good does it do to send Swerve to whatever? I don't know if they're going to be on the show or not. They don't tell me.
Yeah, but
That's
Brian,
the bigger problem.
I know, but you're right. That is there are 2 levels to this problem that we're talking about here. And I don't mean to be, I don't want to battle it or anything like that. But with Swerve's story, you know it. Right? You know everything he's been through. You know his military background. You know the independent wrestling that he's done. You know his outside interests, like when it comes to hip-hop. You know this stuff. Everybody should know this stuff. I heard Swerve out in doing mainstream things more a couple years ago when he signed. Why are we not hearing more about this dude? You know, MJF, they did a good job taking his outside things that he did, and they were rolling with him pretty good, even though the Devil storyline sucked. You know, he was out there. Well, now he's hurt. He can't be out there. Use some other people and get them out there. It does not hurt. And when you're right now at the level that you're at where we have to talk about these things, there should be extra care taken to get these people, your top people, into as many places in the media as possible. And I know a lot of it is fake and all that sort of stuff, and we get driven nuts when WWE does it, but you know what? It's kind of what you have to do. Because you're not going to have... Look, there are going to be outlets that they're relatively shut out from. ESPN, they're relatively shut out from. You know, the Pat McAfee show, they're relatively shut out from. When Dan Le Batard talks about it when it comes to sports, who's he talking about? He's talking about WWE. They have got to get the AEW name back out there, and they have got to, again, put some shine on all of these people as well as doing what you're saying.
Sting's retirement match, according to Venues Now. The show at the Greensboro Coliseum brought in more than $1 million in gate revenue, $16,118. The average ticket price, $55. $349,000 in merchandise sales. Average spend of $21.64. $306,000 spent on concessions. This thing can be way bigger than it is.
Hey, look,
this is proof right here.
We'll see what happens when it comes to these pay-per-views and adding on so many of them, but when it comes to the big show, as we have said over and over, no matter the build on television, when it comes to what they get in pay-per-view buys, what they get, when it comes to the gate and what they get, when it comes to those people who step through the gate spending money, it is fantastic. Again, can they now, with so many pay-per-views, are they going to be able to continue in the same way? Obviously, they hope so. You know, that's where attendance is going to be the issue. Again, the fans that go are going to spend money. I think people are going to sit home and have no problem, even if you lose 40,000, 100,000, 6 more months out of the year, that's going to be enough to cover that. But what is the atmosphere going to be like? Because, again, there is no reason that they should be getting 1,400s for Collision. I'm just sorry. At AEW's point, with what they spend on everything that they have, I'm sorry. Maybe it's just my age, but I get those WCW flashbacks too much, and I know it's not the same thing, because as long as Tony Khan has money, this promotion can exist. But still, it is not a great atmosphere when you have 1,400 coming off of watching 16,000 in Charlotte. There's got to be a happier medium.
Mercedes on the Kick Rocks podcast.
That's what she should tell you.
Was asked about, dude, I'm on her side about advertising her for next week.
Hater.
She was asked about upcoming things she might be doing. She says, "I've been making some really big moves, big business moves.
Well, she's the boss.
Big money moves.
She's money.
In case you haven't figured out big business yet." Which I know some people...
Well, I mean, be honest, though. How many tickets were going to be sold off of Mercedes Monet's name, Sasha Banks'
Well, the
name
funny
at
thing
this
is
point
we
in the
don't
game?
know because they won't say her name.
How many have been sold?
I don't know. There's 6,000.
Okay, so whatever they do what have they been doing for regular shows? About 2,000, 3,000?
Well, obviously they're doing better, yeah.
So she was worth about 3,000 tickets right there. Her name alone probably could have done sold-out New Japan show that she appeared at last year. But look, because we talked about this leading in, because the specter of Okada debuting was, well, if ticket sales aren't going good, you can announce Okada to debut there as well as then feature Mercedes Moné. Now, obviously, they can't do that anymore, but to me, and this is nothing against her because I like her, how many people was she really going to draw off of just her name in a building that size? That was cojones to think that.
Back in a moment, Observer Live.
The twins, yeah.
So this is an odd story. So Kevin Nash claimed that he asked WWE to attend Sting's final match, and he says that because of his positioning within WWE, quote, I couldn't even be there if I went in the crowd. That's what Kevin Nash said. Lex Luger, however, who has the same deal that Nash has, Luger said, and DDP, that WWE told them they could attend the show, but requested they not be on camera. And so they were there. So I don't know what's going on here, but Luger was definitely there, and WWE gave him permission. And as it notes here, I guess Luger could clarify, but he didn't even say they demanded he not be on camera. They just said they requested he not be shown. So, anyway, he was there.
Yeah, well, considering how they treated that man on that old WWE Confidential show way back when, after Elizabeth passed away, I wouldn't say that man couldn't do anything, especially in the condition that he's in right now, too. But I don't know. And maybe there's possibly the reason why. Maybe they do want to do something with Lex Luger, so they may have not taken as hard of an edge with Lex Luger because maybe they do want to induct him into the Hall of Fame or something like that. I don't know. But there you go.
Wonder what would happen if they put Luger in the Hall of Fame and requested Sting induct him. Wonder if AEW would let... I bet AEW would let Sting do it.
I think they would too, and I think under the circumstances... you want to talk about a no-win for Tony Khan, because there are going to be the same trolls that are out there if he lets him do it that say, well, you wouldn't get anything from them. Hell, you didn't even bother to ask for the footage. That's how, you keep getting treated. But then if he doesn't let him go, I mean, my God, you look like a monster in that case. So... it's a really, again, he's in a no-win position there, but I think to be on the right side of history, I think you let Lex Luger, especially in his condition, go do something like that, or let Sting go do that for a friend of his.
So the Dynamite show had a lot going on and a lot of announcements. So it appears that the main event of the next pay-per-view is going to be Swerve and Samoa Joe for the title. And next week, it is going to be Joe versus Wardlow for the title. I suppose it's possible Wardlow wins, but I would be surprised. I certainly would not say it's impossible, but I would be surprised. And as far as Swerve, I mentioned on the show last night, and boy, people got really mad at my prediction. My prediction was that Adam Cole was going to be the man to beat Swerve. That's what I predicted. And people were furious about that. Because listen, it's just a prediction, first off. You don't have to get mad about it. But why did I predict that? Well, I'll tell you. So, I don't know this 100%, but I'm pretty confident that the whole MJF Adam Cole storyline was going to culminate at World's End with Adam Cole beating MJF for the title. And Adam Cole, of course, got injured, which screwed everything up. And as a result of that, MJF was always going to lose at World's End. And so with Adam Cole out of the picture, Samoa Joe got the title. Okay? Now, if you have watched AEW from day one, which I have, let's look at like the Chris Statlander deal, and it's been multiple times. Tony has a plan for somebody to be champion, and an injury or whatever occurs, and as soon as they're able to go, he goes right back to whatever his plan was. We've seen this countless times, okay? Countless times. So I don't know when Cole's going to be back. I mean, timing-wise, my prediction may not work out because I think Will Ospreay should win the AEW title at Wembley, okay? But if he can be back at some point soon, I think that they're going to go with Adam Cole. And whatever the long term was with Adam Cole and MJF after Adam Cole won the title, I think he's going to go back to whatever his plan was. That's why I made that prediction. Now, obviously, if there's not time, then I think that Swerve will probably beat Joe. And then at Wembley, now you've got kind of a weird situation because it would be babyface versus babyface. Because Swerve, 100%, for all of you that told me that Swerve was already a babyface, he wasn't. Because he actually did his babyface turn last night. And now he is a babyface. And, of course, Will Ospreay should be your top babyface. So, I mean, you could do babyface at Wembley if you wanted. Or, Swerve gets his run, Cole ends his title run, and then you do Cole and Ospreay at Wembley, and Ospreay wins the title. I'm just telling you what I think, okay? You don't have to get mad about it. Just giving you my educated speculation based on watching Tony Khan book for the last 4 or 5 years. Next week, as noted, it is Samoa Joe and Wardlow. And, man, I do have to say, that opening segment was the most WWE segment I've ever seen in my life. They literally had Swerve and Samoa Joe come out, and they set up an impromptu match. The only thing we were missing was, Adam Pearce or Teddy Long to say, "This match is official!" And then what was the match? 2 singles guys versus the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions.
Well,
and essentially one guy beat them both all by himself. That was a total WWE segment if I ever saw one.
They had it with Tony Schiavone. He played that role
He did.
there, didn't he?
Tony Schiavone played Teddy Long. Other notes on the show. We had Hook and Brian Cage for the FTW title. And my presumption is that they're doing this AEW Tag Team Tournament for the vacant titles. And my presumption is that Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara were going to be a team. And Sammy is currently suspended. And so Jericho needs a new partner. And so they set up an angle where his partner will be Hook. So Jericho and Hook fighting for the AEW Tag Team title, which is great for Hook. So
is the FTW title the tribute hardcore title, really, when
of
it gets
course.
down to it at the end of the day?
Of course. It's FTW rules and all those matches. So they set that up. Here's another one, by the way. Here's another one. I don't want to get back to it again, but I didn't know Christian was going to be on the show. I didn't know Nick Wayne was going to be on the show. I didn't know Shayna and everybody else. I understand maybe wanting to do a surprise with Adam Copeland, but my God, the more I look at the show, I'm like, they didn't advertise anybody. The show was so stacked, and it was a complete mystery going in. So Edge returned, Adam Copeland, and he beat everybody up, and Christian's crew chased him out of the building, and they announced March 20th in Toronto, it will be I Quit, Copeland versus Christian for Christian's title. So I give them credit. Thank God you've announced that in advance. Plug the hell out of it over the next couple of weeks. It's Toronto, for God's sake. And you know what happens when AEW goes to Canada?
What's that?
Not good. They should do fine in Toronto, hopefully.
Change the title.
Well, of course they're going to change the title. It's long since time.
Hope so.
Yes. And then we
get a mother shirt? No?
A mother shirt?
Somebody said,
am I going to get
new
one?
Shayna Wayne gear and some new Shayna Wayne merchandise here. So you can have that mother drip hanging off of him every show.
Shayna is so tall. God. And then she wears those heels.
It's great. I mean, she strikes a presence out there, does she not?
My wife is exactly the same height as me, okay? And so, like, every now and then we'll go somewhere, and she decides she's going to wear these. She doesn't wear heels, but she wears, like, shoes with a high heel, like a big square heel or whatever. I'm always looking up at her, and I'm like, okay, you're now 4 inches taller than me. But then I think about Buddy, and it's like, this happened to him every day, but she was a foot taller.
Well, that's...
Because Buddy was 2 inches shorter than I am, and she is at least 6'2", 6'3", and she does wear 6-inch heels. So, you know, Buddy and Shayna, it was like Andre and Mean Gene. It's just like...
He was a big climber. It's
Speaking of climbers, you know who else I didn't know was going to be on the show but was? Darby Allin.
well,
And they had a bizarre little segment with Darby and Switchblade where the build for this match next week was Switchblade was like, nah, you don't want to wrestle me. Let's not do it. Let's go party in the back. I was like, that's the build to this match. And then Darby was like, I don't buy the hype. Prove it next week. And he whispered something to Switchblade, and we don't even know what he whispered.
of course Darby doesn't buy the hype. He's been watching Jay White on AEW television since he debuted there.
That is exactly what he said. He goes, you were a multi-time IWGP heavyweight champion. You won the, I think he said the G1, whatever he said. But he goes, what have you done since you've come here? Played with a cardboard cutout? And I was like, well.
Well, and look, it has not
Basically,
been all bad
yes.
for Jay White there, but losing Juice Robinson really did hurt the act, and then the fact that he's been languishing in what he's been doing, not that he hasn't been entertaining at times, but like, come on here, let's do something with this dude.
What did he say? Oh, you may have been in the Tokyo Dome twice. Yeah, not the G1. Then we had, they're announcing a match. It's the House of Black versus Mark Briscoe and Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett.
My new favorite team ever.
For Saturday. And they are strongly... This will end with fire. I don't know if they're going to do the fire spot on Collision or if they're going to do the fire spot at the pay-per-view. But they are absolutely doing fire. It is I mean,
maybe they can throw my memories of the House of Black in there and then just, light those on fire. This is not... It's amazing. Julia Hart is going to come out of that foursome the best at the end of the day. And I know this is probably going to end with Mark Briscoe going through fire because he's Mark Briscoe, but, no. I'd like to see Jeff Jarrett, Mark Briscoe, and Jay Lethal win.
And then the main event was Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, which was absolutely fantastic for the 9 minutes before my DVR cut off. What happened to Tony telling us about the overrun? Luckily, they put it up on YouTube, so I was able to watch the end. And the match was unbelievable. Unbelievable. And Will is hurt. Think about that. So the booking, if you want to call it that, is that they had a fantastic match, and then Bryan Danielson came out and looked at Will Ospreay. And you don't need much more than that. They're going to do that match at the pay-per-view.
Well, yeah, and they at least were very smart about that, having that air right in the background as they were staring each other down. Don't forget, coming up in St. Louis, I believe that it is, and hype the date and all that.
I got to say, this Bryan Danielson is just driving me absolutely nuts.
It's the hair, isn't it?
No, it's the fact that, he's doing all of his dream matches, and they're all awesome. But he's not winning anything. It's like the simplest thing to do if you really want to get everybody over is win some big ones and then put people over. Instead, he skipped the win the big one part and just goes and puts everybody over.
I think you just need to put that away because we were talking about that with him in WWE, and it's great that you put Drew Gulak over, but then what? I get it, but that's just what he's going to be now.
Back in a moment with more Observer Live.
I think it's my sobriety that keeps me going. Since I got clean and sober 15 years ago, it has put this kind of new shine on my life that I need to kick it into gear and continue growing and continue what I love to do, which is this wonderful business we're in, and have some fun. And it's all about having fun. If you can't have fun at your job, then you don't really need to be in it. And I'm very good at what I do, so I love this business. And I just, each time I go out there, it is an opportunity for me to be kind of a teacher for the youngins in the back, because I'm very old school with a little new school attitude. So without the old school, there is no new school, right? So it's like all these people do all these impressive things all the time, and then what I like to do is completely different than that, and that's to tell a story. It's very important to me because the fans they have made us, right? So without the fans, we're nothing. And the fans that are going through their day, and they might be having a terrible day or whatever, and they turn on the TV on AEW just to watch us, it is my job to take them out of that day and entertain them, but make them feel something. That's the most important thing, is to move somebody and to make them feel something. Because if you make them feel something, they're going to come back. And so that's kind of my goal every time that I, go out there. It's, I get a lot more nervous at my age for some reason, which is really weird. And I think they're good nerves, and I've always been nervous, but really since I've turned 50, it's like every time I go out there, I'm just like, oh my God, man, I can't mess up. Because, there's people out there, they're going to be like, oh, Dustin needs to retire. And I hate that. I don't want that. I want to kill it each time. I want to put on a banger and tell a good psychological story for the fans to enjoy. I don't think I really need to prove myself anymore, but I think it's just an internal thing that I need to prove to myself, hey, I can still go out there and do this, right? But as far as proving to anybody else, I believe people know how good I am and that I can go out there and wrestle circles around some of the young ones even still today. And we have some incredible talent, and I'm just trying to keep up. I'm just trying to keep, in a word, young, right? And it's very difficult when you're 54, almost 55. But just to throw in a couple of new things by evolving your characters and changing things up every once in a while, I'm good at that. And that gives me a little more life and gives me a little longer to kind of enjoy it, right? Before I need to switch it up again. And I think that's the key to my career, is evolving.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com.
Mm-hmm.
If you listen to the Brian, Vinny, Craig, Sean, Granny show on Tuesday, first off, if you didn't, it's up at WrestlingObserver.com, and what in God's name are you waiting for?
Really?
That was actually a great show, if I do say so myself. Especially getting a chance to talk about... Anyway... Part of the show was a contest. Guess the surgery that Vinny recently got. Is psoriasis surgery. And I can alert you all that for the first time since his surgery, he will be driving over here tonight. That's a lot of sitting in the car.
He's got a donut.
And he's going to be in a bad mood, I think. So that'll be awful fun to review NXT with him in that mood. Although NXT was better, except for Lyra and Tatum. Last week it was like a three-way tie for the worst storyline in all of pro wrestling, all of which were on NXT. This week it's far and away Lyra and Tatum. I wasn't even really that mad about the Beauty Queen because she agreed to wrestle this week. And they're doing a storyline where if she beats Gigi Dolan, she's going to teach her how to be a lady.
That could be really funny.
Yes.
It could be really funny.
So I actually cannot wait for that. But even Dave was like, this Lyra Tatum thing is the worst. The absolute worst. So that's tonight, everybody. WrestlingObserver.com. You can also check out video.f4wonline.com. If you're listening to this show for free, that's our members-only area. And if you love audio shows, well, this is no joke, 14,000 archived podcasts dating back to 2005. That should drive you nuts. So sign up, WrestlingObserver.com. We're out of here. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time, Wrestling Observer Live.